This is LBC.
So we're asking about your experience of the justice system. What would you like to change in it? Do you have any confidence that the government are actually on the right track with some of the reforms that they are bringing in? So we'll come back to that in just a moment. But first, I want to talk a little preview the State of the Union address that Donald Trump is about to deliver, I think, about 2 a.m. UK time. Henry Riley he's going to go through all the way from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. What a hero. And of course, Simon Marks will be having his BDI across it. In fact, someone else called Simon has just texted in, can you ask Mr. Trump to wait a few minutes? Haven't got my popcorn yet. Well, you've got till 2 a.m. to procure your popcorn, Simon. How big's your tub, Simon?
Plenty of time to get more popcorn in, I can assure the other Simon, and he may need quite a lot of it, because who knows how long a speech we are going to get from President Donald Trump. Ian, he's got an awful lot to do in this speech, and he walks into the chamber of the House of Representatives tonight with devastating polling numbers having been published here earlier today. 2 polls, one for CNN, one for the Washington Post. The CNN poll says that 63% of the country disapproves of his first year in office. Just 36% approval rating in that poll. The Washington Post has slightly better numbers. 39% approval, 60% disapproval. But what I think will really spook, if not the White House, certainly Republicans writ large, are numbers that show among voters who consider themselves independents, classic swing voters. Sometimes they vote Republican, sometimes they vote Democratic. They always end up determining the outcome of elections here. Among independent voters, CNN is recording that 73% of them say they disapprove of President Trump's time back in power. Only 26% of independents say they are backing him, and he's underwater on every single major issue. But if you look at the numbers on immigration, 58% disapprove of his handling of his mass deportation policies, and tariffs, 64% disapprove of his handling of that. And of course, we're going to have high drama on the floor of the House of Representatives tonight, because Donald Trump is going to come face to face with the 9 justices of the Supreme Court who only on Friday voted 6-3 to eviscerate the tariff policies that lie at the heart not just of his trade policy, but at the heart of his foreign and national security policies as well. He will not, however, be coming face to face with scores of Democrats, at least 50 Democrats, possibly more, by the time the speech gets underway, have announced that they are boycotting the State of the Union tonight. That's an unprecedented decision by members of any political party on a night that is traditionally reserved for pomp and pageantry here in Washington, D.C. Instead, the Democrats are counter-programming. They're holding an event in Washington called the State of the Swamp, at which guest speakers, including the actor Robert De Niro, the actor Mark Ruffalo, and others, will be voicing their opposition to everything that Donald Trump has done since he returned to power in Washington in January of last year. So this is going to be a State of the Union address with a whole raft of differences from tradition and with a whole pile of twists. We have just heard within the last couple of hours that the gold medal winning US hockey team, the ice hockey team, will be present in the chamber at the invitation of President Donald Trump for this State of the Union address. And according to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, that is intended to convey to the American public that we're all on the same team. But there will be many other indications in the chamber itself, including those empty Democratic chairs that indicate that this country is as deeply divided as ever as Donald Trump opens the envelope, pulls the speech out and begins to make it.
I must admit, when I was going home on the train last night, this Instagram reel came up of Donald Trump's phone call to Nish Patel, the FBI director, who was in the locker room with all of those hockey players. And it was actually, you know, I'm not Donald Trump's biggest fan, but this was about a 5-minute monologue that he was doing through Nish Patel's iPhone, and it was actually quite uplifting, and the hockey players really seemed to appreciate it. So I think that is going to be quite a scene. But just on that subject, I've got a question for you, Simon, from Gordon in Hampstead, who says, if you're speaking to Simon Marks today, can you ask him who his predictions are for any slutniks that President Trump may invite to his State of the Union address? I seem to remember he has a good track record for predicting these. This is nicknamed after Lenny Slutnik, the hero of the January 1982 Potomac air disaster, and whom Reagan later invited to his address. So, apart from the hockey players, who can we expect?
Well, I can tell you that Charlie Kirk's widow is definitely going to be present at the invitation of President Donald Trump. I'm also told, and we know ahead of time, I mean, Gordon's very nice for saying that I managed to predict all of these things. In fact, we do get told ahead of time pretty much who's going to be there, although we don't necessarily get the exhaustive guest list. But apparently there is going to be the family of who are victims of crime at the hands of an illegal immigrant in the United States. They will be present in the chamber at the invitation of President Trump. On the other side of the aisle, Democrats, even though many of them themselves are not putting themselves through listening to President Trump's speech, they've invited guests as well, and they include people who have been on the receiving end of ICE and Border Patrol brutality in Minneapolis. So the party political lines are, as ever, going to be drawn as a result of the guests that both sides have invited to attend this speech. Just going back to the hockey team, by the way, it's notable that while the men's hockey team, they're at the White House right now with President Trump, while they have accepted an invitation to both the White House and to the State of the Union speech. And I think you could see from those scenes of celebration with the FBI Director Kash Patel that they certainly seemed, most of them, to be very proud of their association with senior figures within the Trump administration. The women's hockey team has made its excuses and said that it's not going to be coming to the White House. It was apparently its members were honoured to receive the invitation from President Trump to travel to Washington, D.C., but have decided not to do so. You can make of that what you will. Perhaps divisions within the Olympics team. Certainly the White House was not happy with some American athletes at the Winter Olympics who made it very clear that they were not fully on board with Donald Trump's brand of politics here in the United States when they were speaking to the press in Italy. That
is a bit odd, isn't it? Because there is this thing about honouring the office of the president. You might not like the incumbent, but you still honour the office. But of course, I guess tonight we all have to look through the prism of the November midterms, which only 9 months away now. And if you're J.D. Vance and you want to succeed, or even Marco Rubio, and you're thinking of the next presidential election, you are going to have a very close eye on what happens in these midterms. And I suspect there's going to be a little bit of divergence between those two and Donald Trump if they don't go very well in November, which, according to the statistics you've given us, they seem unlikely to.
Yes, they seem unlikely to if the midterm elections take place in time-honoured fashion here. Remember that Donald Trump walks into that chamber tonight, having on numerous occasions over the last few weeks articulated the view that he doesn't even think America should be having these midterm elections. It's ridiculous that Republican candidates should even be having to face off against the Democrats, given the astonishing scale of success that his government has achieved. And of course, even yesterday, he was totally rejected rejecting the idea that his approval rating was even at 40%, never mind lower than that, as these polls suggest. So there's a long road between now and November, and all sorts of efforts that the White House is already making to try and fix the outcome of the midterm elections, with the president himself on a continuing basis saying that he will only respect the outcome of the elections if he thinks that they have been honestly held. And every time he speaks, he indicates that he doesn't think they are going to be honestly held. He was talking yesterday again about the urgent need for voter ID laws, and if those are not on the statute books, then the election can't possibly be fair by the time voters go to the polling places in November. So for J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, I mean, they may also have a practical decision to make about how far to join Donald Trump down the path of trying to game the outcome of these midterm elections, because he certainly is positioning himself to do precisely that.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. Simon Marks is LBC's Washington correspondent. Someone corrected me. I think I said Nish Patel, who is in fact a Labour MP, not the head of the FBI. It's Kash Patel, as Simon pointed out.